Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV and Radio, where wisdom meets experience. Join a dynamic lineup of thought leaders, professionals, and changemakers from around the world. Dr. Madeline Chan from the UK, Mariska Dupreya from Australia, red.olaughlin from Texas, USA, Carolyn Heward from the UK, Zunette Lub from Cape Town, South Africa, as they share expert insights, personal journeys, and impactful strategies for success. Talking Heads isn't just a show, it's a global stage for education, collaboration, and inspiration. So elevate your knowledge, expand your perspective, engage in conversations that matter. Streaming globally, empowering locally, this is Talking Heads, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Howdy, red.olaughlin here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. My show today is Talking Heads. My primary topic is brain longevity. And I'm trying to get my slides up here right now. Let's see what we go. Okay, fantastic. Everything works exactly as advertised. We think about longevity primarily in our bodies. We have a lifespan, we have a health span, we have all sorts of spans. But when we think about longevity, how long do we live? And we can live a long time, but you start getting past 40, 50, we're getting old. 60, 70, we're really getting old. And you start getting to that later end of life, 80s and 90s and whatever. And we want to have a good, healthy life. We don't want somebody changing our diaper 4 or 5 times a day. That just is not a fun thing to have. So we don't want to be a burden on other people. But another thing we don't want to be a burden on is not being able to fully control our thoughts and our relationships with other people. So anyway, let me go ahead and start the show today. My topic is called brain longevity. I'm going to talk about various aspects of age-related brain issues. And I want to talk about the science behind preventing dementia before it starts. We're live streaming on Amazon Fire, Zizzle TV, YouTube, Android, Apple TV, social media, and a lot more. That's just part of the deal. And as always, for all of my shows, this is for education and awareness. My website is red.olaughlin.com. It's R-E-D like the color, R-Red, Olaughlin, OLAUGHLIN.com. Everything can be found there as far as my blogs and videos and books and everything else. I deleted some slides. That sounds like I need to do something here. What did I do? Okay, I think I have it taken care of, a technical problem on my end. Okay, Brains and Longevity, USA Global TV and Radio was 2 live shows, and the archives are found on there. Just go to USA Global TV or to Jacqueline Kerbeck, and both of those will give you the USA Global TV, and about 62 shows, I think, the last time I heard, on a monthly basis. My website, red.olaughlin.com, also has some archive shows on it. Basically, I consider myself a researcher. I've never been in the medical or pharmaceutical fields. I fell in love with research a long time ago. Chemistry was my #1 passion, has been my entire life. I just never had a chance to practice it until lately. Got my first degree in it. I got a total of 5 different academic degrees, all different topics. a bunch of professional certifications. And my civilian life was primarily in the areas of quality assurance, reliability engineering, and logistics engineering. I spent 31 plus years in the military, retired as a captain. I was a naval aviator, flew in P3s, been to 62 countries, and I would get an invitation to participate in the wars in Vietnam and Bosnia. My primary focus is cause and effect relationships. If you treat a cause, generally speaking, you probably make some progress. But if you're only treating the symptoms, you're just treating. You may feel better, look better, but if that underlying cause is getting worse, that's a risk. On a more personal note, my wife and I have been married 57 years, a couple of kids, 3 grandkids, and 1 great grandson, almost 2 years of age. We did a lot of shopping for him last week over the Thanksgiving weekend. Best-selling author of a number of books, independent publisher. I've done over 50 books for other authors. I'm a distinguished Toastmaster. I love to write. I got about 1,500 blogs I've done, over 1,000 original content articles on LinkedIn. And on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, I'm an international TV host. Last year, I was ranked at number 2 and number 6 in different shows that I do. This year, on one of my shows, I was the number 1 host for 6 months. So second 6 months is just about over. We'll see how things turn out for that. Okay, I wrote a book. Actually, the book wrote itself in a sense, because during COVID, I wrote 43 blogs on different causes and pathways of Alzheimer's. And I said, it's just more than the beta amyloid plaque or the tau tangle or this, that, and whatever. Anyway, it turns out that when you really start doing some deep research, there's a lot of things there. So my book, Understanding the Causes of Alzheimer's Disease, it might be of value. But let's get right into the show today. Our brains mature at around 22, 26 years of age. Somewhere in that, you get there at 24, 25, your brain doesn't grow any older. It doesn't mature anymore. It's at its full peak. So you sit there and you're a teenager and lots of things are going on. All of a sudden you get to be a mid 20-year-old. My goodness, how much that person has matured. And it's the fact that the brain is still evolving and that those teenage years are just incredible. Our brains don't grow any older than that, and that's why we have a tendency to always think back in that period of time in our lives. But they are subject to our lifestyle choices and a lot more. So these are choices we make every single day with regard to sleep and diet and exercise and stress management. And so everything that we do on a daily basis affects our entire body, affects our entire brain. So are there options to consider that we might be able to have some impact to prevent or reduce the risk of dementia or other age-related brain issues? I think absolutely. Let's talk about that today. Dementia under 65 is uncommon. Yes, it does happen. The number 1 cause is degeneration of the frontal and temporal lobes, FTD, the frontal temporal lobe dementia. And these are, to some level, significant genetic contribution in that. But like we've talked about in other shows, genes can be turned on and turned off. And a lot of that has to do with literally your lifestyle choices. You have a gene that can be turned on for good or turned off for bad. It just depends on how you affect that. But your epigenetics, your environment that you're in, has a lot of contribution to that. Typical symptoms of FTD are, behavioral changes, judgment errors, a little loss of inhibition, some impairment with language, can't come up with the right word when you want to. I can't remember that person's name, that kind of stuff. All that being said, memory loss is not necessarily an initial symptom of FTD. FTD is biology driven, whereas Alzheimer's, that is a memory loss issue, is age driven. 2 different pathways for those kinds of dementia. Some forms of dementia actually start back in your 30s, but you don't see it until your 50s and 60s. Many times the symptoms are actually misdiagnosed. Oh, that guy's stressed out, or she's depressed, or he's had a personality disorder forever. You just deal with it. And so those are things that people see, but they don't realize that may be an underlying symptom of something more critical, brain health. Early onset Alzheimer's, we've heard about that from a number of people. Okay, my niece, my nephew, there are a lot of people that, they're not even 60 and now they're all showing signs of Alzheimer's. They can't remember. So it's an interesting deal, but Alzheimer's, yes, it's age related, but sometimes you get early onset, which is a little bit earlier. It's the second most common. It has a rapid progression. It affects your attention and your visuospatial function. That's usually you get lost while driving. You know where you're going, you get there, and then you have no idea how to get home. And then you might walk into a room. Okay, where am I at? What am I doing? Why am I here? And it affects your executive function, your decision-making capability. And as I mentioned earlier with the other one, a lot of this stuff can actually start in your 30s. So if you're, 30, 35, that's not too early to start seeing some of these things. Not saying that because you have some problem with something, you have it, but it's something to be aware of. If you're going to be talking to your doctor down the road, make some notes about this thing, because just because it happened once, not an issue. If it happened half a dozen times a month, maybe you might want to that's a clue. There's another part of this dementia called vascular cognitive impairment. It's becoming much more prominent. It's a newer aspect, but they're seeing it more in the midlife crisis. You get a lot of stress, a lot of tension, financial issues, relational issues, job issues, all sorts of things out there. Diabetes, obesity, inflammation, microvascular damage. And this is a big one I'm seeing. I haven't seen much on this until recently. In fact, over the holidays, I was doing some research I have cataracts, I have glaucoma, I have a couple other things, dry eye, etc. And I'm looking at this thing, and they're talking about the microvascular damage in the back of the eye. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Why hasn't anybody else mentioned that to me? Well, there's some things you can actually do for it to help it up a little bit. So I went ahead and ordered some stuff, and we'll see. But in general terms, this vascular cognitive impairment, the symptoms vary. And if you don't diagnose these things early enough, you can get an effective treatment and really, I'm going to say shut it down, but you can adapt a whole lot easier. The cognitive symptoms, pretty simple. Difficulty remembering words, names, reduced mental stamina, increased irritability. That's probably a major one. Trouble multitasking, absolutely. Taking a lot longer to solve problems that you can do easily. There's a lot of behavioral symptoms, social withdrawal. A lot of risks that you would not normally take, you take. Poor judgment, loss of initiative, loss of creativity. These are all part of that overall cognitive decline. But when you look at brain longevity, there's a lot of different areas that I can look at. And if I look at the symptoms that affect, say, the physical or the neurological, one of the biggest ones, absolute number one, isn't something you pay. If you have a slower gait and there's not a reason for it, if you have a balance issue, that is not necessarily an Alzheimer's issue. But if somebody is really walking a lot slower than they did 20 years ago, why? Is it a fear of falling and breaking a bone? But a slower gait is definitely a clue. That's something to register in your brain, say, you need to check that one out. Changes in your sleep architecture, when you go to bed, how fast you go to sleep. Do you have nightmares? Lots and lots and lots of things there. A lot of awakening in the middle of the night. Reduced sense of smell. That was really common during COVID. In fact, I remember literally one day, all of a sudden, I couldn't smell anything. And then about a day or two later, literally within 2 days, all of a sudden my smell came back. I smell better now than I ever did before COVID. For whatever reason, I got an enhanced sense of smell. The metabolic and cellular symptoms way down into the brain, into our bodies. We have brain insulin resistance. They call it type 3 dementia, type 3 Alzheimer's. You're too much glucose. And so you start having insulin resistance inside the brain. Mitochondrial dysfunction. Your mitochondria are just not producing like they used to. We end up with a lot of chronic low-level cellular inflammation, and that is literally the beginning of nearly every single kind of disease we have in our body, because it starts at the DNA level in the cell. And if you have low-level inflammation that is not controlled over, not weeks, not months, but over years, that becomes a significant health issue. Vascular microinjury. This is one of those things that I was pretty much not aware of until recently, literally last week. And I've been doing a little bit of study on that. And these things are so small. They're talking about, well, they kill the cell, they kill the nerve, they kill this. It doesn't affect the brain, but this one and that one and that one, they all accumulate. So you have a problem over time that as more and more of these occur, now we start having a problem. Increased oxidative stress, declining neurotropic factors, your brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and your nerve growth factor. These are things that are there that help you. And I've heard of BDNF referred to as brain fertilizer. I kind of like that word because it really does. It helps everything improve. We have impaired peptides because we get older. Our hormone regulation is not very good because we're getting older. We get older, everything happens to us. Brain volume shrinks a little bit. Of course, you're on more medications. They interact with each other. Lots and lots of things going on. So do we have some options? Well, let's look a little bit deeper into some of the causes to see what can we do. Okay, so if I have inflammation, I should be able to control that with antioxidants. There's a lot of things out there. But that inflammation in the brain, we have microglial overactivation, overstimulation. So we start having things burned out or things overactivated. We get these chronic cytokines. These are the little killer cells that get released because of the immune system is not working the way it should. Interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha. These are things that are there. They are not necessarily there to benefit the brain. They're actually a major detriment to our neuroprotective agents that are in the brain itself. We've heard the term leaky gut. There's a term coming out more frequent now, leaky brain. I have a blood-brain barrier that keeps a lot of stuff out of the brain that doesn't need to be there. But if that brain starts to leak a little bit, stuff gets in that shouldn't be there. Got a lot of oxidative stress and mitochondrial failure. I've mentioned so many times that mitochondria in your cells are the absolute. You keep them happy, you will be a happy person. But if they are starved of this, that, and whatever, just a lot of things that go into keeping mitochondrial healthy, we end up with less energy. The ATP production starts going down, declines. We are subject to more DNA damage. We have DNA in our cells, but we also have DNA in our mitochondria. We have an increased, what they call reactive oxygen species. That's oxidation, vascular dysfunction, and the blood-brain barrier weakening and leaking. They've seen about 80% of dementia patients show some level of microvascular disease. In other words, these very, very small microcapillaries that are having problems. They call them infarcts, that they are clogged up, they're strained, they are creating problems. But they're literally at the cellular level in that particular pathway. They have what's called reduced perfusion. That's where you have not enough oxygen and too much glucose. And that again becomes that issue of too much glucose in the brain causing a lot of overstimulation. We also have what's called loss of neuronal protection, and it affects our repairs and the signaling for repairs. So our neurons in our brain, under normal conditions, they have a fair level of protection. And when they need repair, they signal things out, boom, things happen. There comes the repair crew. And so if I'm operating properly, my BDNF, it's that brain fertilizer I referred to, it's going to keep the neuronal protection high. It's going to allow the repair signals to go back and forth. But as I get older, I make less of it. My growth hormone is less. Again, I get older. I'm making maybe 10% of what I made as a toddler when I'm in my 70s. My IFG1, that's your, can't think of what the name is. It's your growth factor. Can't think. Anyway, melatonin. We don't think of melatonin a whole lot. We say, okay, fine, I got a melatonin pill, or I've been out in the sun. And a little bit of like 5% of the melatonin in the brain signals you to go to sleep. But the other 95% actually comes from IR radiation from the sun. And you get that literally through your clothes, through your brain, through a lot of things. It gets into your backbone, your spine, gets down, processed in the body, and actually ends up in your mitochondria. It's a major mitochondrial health factor. And so that melatonin is there to help increase the ability of the cell to produce energy and be an effective agent in your health. Peptide signaling, you're making far fewer peptides as you get older. If you're not purposely doing something to create autophagy in your cells, that's usually through fasting, and there's a couple other methods. You don't have the cells in a nice clean operating deal. They may go years before you actually clean a cell out, if you ever do. And you just pile up a lot of trash and garbage, and it just decreases the ability of that cell to do the things they're supposed to do. What can you do? Easy. I think it's easy. If it's an inflammatory issue, lots of good anti-inflammatories out there. Omega-3, great one, because a lot of the brain is part of that omega-3 DHA EPA portion of that. Curcumin, a great antioxidant. but it needs piperine, a black pepper extract, in order to be bioavailable in the body. Otherwise, you take it and you're not really getting it into the body. There's several nutrients out there that really need that black pepper in order to enhance it. Magnesium comes in 4 or 5 or 6 different compounds. The one that the brain needs is magnesium threonate. Cruciferous vegetables, your broccoli and cauliflower and stuff like that. A lot of sulfur in there, a lot of stuff in there to help. Fasting, the necrosis factor, kappa B, is a major cytokine that creates havoc, particularly in the brain. By fasting, you reduce that. By fasting, you also clean up your cells if you allow autophagy to take into account. And that usually starts at about 18 hours and is at 100% generally around 72 hours. Your mitochondrial output. What can I do to help the health of my mitochondria? Well, CoQ10 is a great one. Ubiquinol, there's about a 3 times difference in price. The higher the price, the more bioavailable it is. Spend the extra buck, get the higher ubiquinol. Pyrroloquinone, PQQ, it passes through the blood-brain barrier. I consider that an army. It's amazing. There are some antioxidants like vitamin C that can be reconstituted over and again about 6 times. So you get 1 molecule of vitamin C, and it can be reactivated again and again and again. So I end up in like an army of 6 with vitamin C, but PQQ can be reactivated 25,000 times. And so now you have an army of 1 molecule there that in the presence of glutathione can be reactivated many, many times. Creatine, a lot of stuff being shown nowadays on creatine in the brain. Fisetin is another one that's relatively new, last 5 or 10 years. Major thing. I think it's in strawberries, if I remember right. We're seeing a lot of things nowadays on peptides, the MOTS-C, the SS031, the BPC157. These are things I'm going to be looking at more seriously next year and be able to give you some personal feedback on. I want to be able to rebuild my brain structure and connectivity. As things are starting to wither, I'm getting older and I'm starting to be attacked more often. I want to be able to maintain that structure, to build it, to strengthen it, to make it more flexible and when it needs to be. So if I do aerobic and resistance training, I get a massive brain fertilizer increase. That BDNF just grows crazy. If I start learning something new, maybe I'm doing Sudoku, maybe I'm doing crossword puzzles. I want to learn a new language, play an instrument, dance. A lot of things I can learn to do I never did in my life. That all goes into the brain because it's a new learning sequence. Sauna therapy, cold water and hot water. In the hot water or hot sauna, the heat shock proteins, these are induced neuroprotective. In other words, just because I get that heat, these proteins are created and they're very, very beneficial for my brain. Metabolic health. If I want to keep my mitochondria healthy, I need to keep away from the sugar, the starches and things like that. So a low glycemic diet, calorie restriction, intermittent fasting, extended fasting, zone 2 cardio. That's where you're like 60-70% of your max, but you're still able to exercise and talk. There's 5 or 6 levels of cardio that's out there. Microvascular strengthening. There's a lot more being advertised now as nitric acid boosters, but essentially in the old days it was citrulline and arginine, and citrulline makes arginine makes nitric acid in the body, and so you're creating more opportunities for that nitric acid to be created in the body. It makes the walls of your blood vessels a little more subtle, so you end up lowering your blood pressure, but it also strengthens the microvascular structure. Walking, you hear the 10,000, but 6,000 minimum. A lot of the cell phones nowadays, just put in your pocket, go out and walk, and it'll tell you how many you did. So daily walking, that's major improvement, especially if you walk after eating. Yoga, Qigong, all those things help. Sleep architecture, they're talking about the schedule you go to sleep on, avoiding late meals, avoiding eating late at night, drinking late at night. Glycine, a lot of stuff nowadays on glycine that I'm seeing that really benefit the brain. Red light is another one you didn't see 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. A lot of stuff nowadays, that red light is a major improvement, particularly when you're looking at melatonin. We don't think of melatonin as being a major brain enhancer, but it's very neuroprotective of the brain. A lot of times we may end up with deficiencies. The vitamin B12 deficiency mimics Alzheimer's. but you take B12 as a pill, take it in your mouth, swallow it, it's generally a cyanocobalamin. That is worthless. It gets eaten up by the stomach acid. You need to put it under your tongue and let it dissolve and get into the bloodstream. Vitamin D3, vitamin K2, zinc, omega-3 are all ones that are critical for brain health. Homocysteine levels, up until a couple of years, I get homocysteine levels checked every year on my annual physical. I did not get it done this year, and I need to get that done through an outside lab. But homocysteine, we generally say that's a heart health. It used to be the gold standard for heart health. But the more I look at homocysteine, it's a major protective agent in the body. If I start getting too much homocysteine, it actually starts killing brain cells. And so there's a certain range you need to be in. You're in that range, that's a sweet spot. That's where you need to be. So it's really important that you have that checked periodically. It's a simple blood test. It's not very expensive. So most of this stuff makes sense. We've been told it many, many times before, maybe not explicitly, but there's just so many things there. So just do this. It's all under the title of, live a healthy lifestyle, exercise, eat the right stuff, go to sleep at night, boom, 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 boom. But when I started talking about this maybe a month or two back, I gave a session on the hallmarks of aging. What are the 12 different hallmarks to say, I am aging? What are they? I think it's not quite that many for the hallmarks of health. And it surprised me. I'm going to say amazed, because I was not truly aware of my ability to make a choice every day affects not only my health today, but my health in the future, my aging in the future. All of those things are based on the little things I do today. But my lifestyle choices are the primary avenue, the primary road that's going to get me to my brain health and my brain longevity without having to worry about age-related this, that, and whatever. Exercise, another lifestyle choice. They've been shown it reduces dementia risk 30 to 45%, and it increases, we talked about that earlier, it increases that brain fertilizer, BDNF. Improves mitochondrial density in the hippocampus of the brain. You got mitochondria in every cell in your body, just like you have in your heart, in your lungs, everywhere. But you got a lot of mitochondria in your brain. You also have your lymphatic system in your brain, your lymphatic. So it promotes this lymphatic drainage. It clears away the beta amyloid plaque, or actually the protein at this point in time before they become a plaque. Zone 2 cardio, again, an exercise issue. Interval training, resistance training, all of those different things. We get older, we also want to have a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more balance, a little bit more strength. A lot of things go in there. So just because I may be doing a little bit of cardio, I don't want to leave out balance as part of my overall exercise routine. Diet, lifestyle choice. I want to control my insulin resistance. Come down, shut down the total number of carbs that I have. There are goods and bads. I've talked a number of times on what if you're going to go on a Atkins type or a keto type diet, it has an effect on your bone density, and there are issues you can take. But you have to realize that what it takes to get calcium into the bone is not the same thing as it takes to get calcium out of the bone. You're fighting a double-edged sword there with that one. But you control your insulin resistance, you're going a long ways to have a healthy brain. Lower the chronic inflammation, again, low-level cellular chronic inflammation, 90, 95, nearly 100% of all disease starts that way. You allow the body to be inundated with free radicals. They damage everything 24/7. The immune system can't handle it. It becomes oxidative stress. Now you start having a lot of DNA damage. Now you start having issues with different parts of your body. Anyway, we can reduce and eliminate what's called AGEs, advanced glycation end products. This is the how you prepare your foods. Take a look at a nice barbecue steak. Those black lines on there. Those black lines are actually detrimental to your health. They taste great, but they add, it's like a toxin getting in the body. So I can cook things at lower temperature versus high. That helps. I want to balance my omega-3s with my omega-6s. The standard American diet has, tons more omega-6s than omega-3s. And up to about 4-to-1 ratio, omega-6 to omega-3, probably not too bad. You really like to have a 1-to-1. But if you start getting over a 4-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, then you start having an issue with inflammation in the body. And some standard American diets, you might see 20, 30, 40% more omega-6 than omega-3 because we're just not eating enough of the omega-3 foods. They're telling me the Mediterranean diet is good. The MIND diet lowers Alzheimer's risk by 35%. I have not been on either one of those two. I've looked at them. I've talked about them in the past. But if I'm looking at brain health, it sort of makes sense. And again, they're looking at an omega-9 fatty acid as your olive oil, as opposed to the omega-3 fish oil or your vegetable oil omega-6s. Intermittent fasting and extended fasting promote autophagy. I mentioned earlier that about 18 hours, which is about when you start and stop your IF, intermittent fasting, your autophagy starts. Okay, 1%, 2%, it starts going through your body. But if I do a 72-hour, 100-hour fast, then all of a sudden I'm allowing the body to go in and clean out the cells, take all the trash out, all the garbage out, recycle what needs to be there, put the recycled stuff back into the cells. I now have a clean working environment in every cell in my body. Some people can fast. It took me years to get to a point where I do a 72-hour fast every month. Sometimes it gives 100, 150. A couple times I've done 200. I'll probably do another couple 200-hour fast as we get to Lent this year. But I generally typically do 72. Most of the time it turns out to be 100. But autophagy is super critical. And that's your mitochondrial cell cleaning. Quality sleep. All the repairs to our body are done. All the cellular, the tissue, the muscle, all those repairs are done when we're sleeping. So I need to have the right ingredients, a lot of sulfur-laden vegetables, that's your cruciferous stuff. But I have to have good quality sleep in order to make it effective. So they found that Alzheimer's risks increase when you get older if you have poor sleep quality. So you're in your 70s and 80s, you're not quite out of it, just about. But if you're having sleep issues, that could be a problem. Stress management, breathing, meditation, Qigong. We talked earlier about heat shock proteins through saunas. You get the same kind of benefit through cold exposure. I can go walking outside in a t-shirt in 40-degree weather for 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah, it's cold, but that cold exposure actually helps my body. Prayer, reflective journaling. I'm trying to increase my vagal tone running down the back of my neck. A lot of ways to do that, but if I have a good vagus nerve, that's going to go a long ways to help my neuroprotective part of my body. So all those things work. So if I can shut down a little bit of that neuroinflammation, everything that does that is beneficial to me. So social intercourse, that's your relationships as you get older. They're finding a lot of people that really don't have friends, suffer a lot. And it's, again, a lot of people want to be alone, but sometimes that loneliness can actually be a detriment to you. Some studies have shown Alzheimer's risk increased by 50% if you're living alone and you're not socializing. Methylene blue, learned about that way back in college. It's a great stain, but it turns out it's more than just a stain. It's actually a super tool for a lot of your body, in particular for your brain and especially for your mitochondria. I bought some over the weekend. I'll be starting it up here shortly. Watch about, I think, 7 or 8 videos on it already. I want to make sure I know what's going on. But your methylene blue boosts your ATP. That's your adenosine triphosphate. That's the output. That's the energy comes out of your mitochondria. It reduces the reactive oxygen species, your oxidative stress. It enhances blood flow and improves memory, protects your neurons in your brain, makes it a more effective electron chain transfer. That's as your energy is being created in your mitochondria. There are certain chemical reactions going on. It makes them more efficient, which means you're boosting your energy output 50, 60, 70% by having that methylene blue. They're using a lot of methylene blue now in studies for Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, traumatic brain injury, for cognitive decline, for a lot of things in there that methylene blue seems to be maybe a magic pill. I'm not saying that yet, but it could be. We also have other age-related issues. We make 4 phospholipids in our body. One of them is called phosphatidylserine. I'll call it PS for short. It deals with your synaptic signaling and increases your nerve growth factor, reduces cortisol, and improves short-term memory. As you get older, you make less and less. You can buy it in a pill form at a store, put it in. My brother-in-law is a Catholic priest, now passed, but he wasn't even near age for retirement. They retired him. He couldn't tell you what year it was, had no concept. He went on that for 2 months. He could tell you what he had for breakfast, what was on TV last night, what's on TV tonight. I mean, literally in 2 months, it was just like it erased Alzheimer's. But again, there's 15, 20 different pathways for Alzheimer's. You fix one, there's another dozen going down the road. You got to get them all. That is just one of many. Phosphatidylserine enhances your attention, your processing speed, your mood, your stress resilience. Lots of things there. They're saying 10 to 13% improvement in memory function with phosphatidylserine. Executive function, our ability to make decisions, act, and do things are improved in high stress situations. By 65, our brain drops at least 10%, sometimes more than that. But it's one of those phospholipids that we can supplement in pill form. Homocysteine, again, I mentioned earlier, that's primarily a heart. It used to be the heart standard, the gold standard for heart health. But if you have too much homocysteine, it actually creates a problem in the brain, and it actually starts a slow brain decay. It usually results in not having enough, B6, B12, and B3, I think, along with trisodium phosphate. I'm not positive on that one. TSB, I think it is. Anyway, but as you get higher levels of homocysteine, it doubles your Alzheimer risk, it triples your vascular dementia risk. Big, big, big deal. Accelerates your brain atrophy, your brain shrinkage. And people who are who have a low stomach acid for a number of reasons, people with vegan diets, chronic stress, if you're on a PPI, a drug, all of those things affect your homocysteine level and other factors that affect your brain. So many causes are countered by good lifestyle choices. So diet, exercise, stress management, sleep, quality of sleep, our balanced nutrition, our fasting, our intermittent fasting, all of those things add up. They reduce inflammation, they reduce oxidative stress, they reduce DNA mutations, but things still happen. I mean, I flew for many years with the military. My hearing is crap nowadays. I can't hear worth anything. Even with hearing aids, I still have difficulty. But normally, just over time, our hearing is going to go bad. Our oral health, our teeth, and again, that's a major problem that it goes straight to your heart. So you got to be real careful when you're looking at your oral health. If you happen to have other issues, cancer in particular, there's a lot of factors there that maybe you might want to hold off a little bit. So if you have something and you're being treated for a disease, particularly cancer, and you want to go get your teeth cleaned, talk to your doctor first, because there's some risk. Our immune system slips a little bit, but it doesn't have to. There are a lot of things we can do to maintain our immune system. There's a lot of things we can do to improve our phospholipids, our enzymes, our peptides, our amino acids, lots of things in our foods and our choices. Microinfarcts increase. These are those little tiny vascular problems, literally a cellular entity within the brain. You're going down a particular pathway, neuron path, and it dies. Okay, those are microinfarcts, and they increase as you get older. Your mitochondrial energy levels decline, even to a level of dysfunction. Toxins have a big issue, particularly in your gut more than anywhere else. Your gut is just like your brain, your health, and your heart, your brain, and your health. Those three are the three areas that really need the most attention on a daily basis. Hormonal decline happens to all of us as we get older. Peptide loss, we're less and less, although now with the synthetic peptides, we actually have the ability to go back in and put some brand new life back in our body. I see that as being the future of medicine. I see that being the future of healthcare. Just too many good things I see about that. The FDA is still, in there doing their evaluations. I think there's 102 peptides right now out of about the 500 that they're aware of the body needs, but there's a lot more than 500 out there. But our bodies run off of peptides because they're the messengers that go between the cells. Pollution we need to be aware of, psychosocial factors, loneliness, meaning of life, our purpose in life. It seems like almost too many things are here to grasp, but they're doable. Take one at a time, get it done. Make good lifestyle choices, and make your mitochondrial happy. Those are really and truly the big deals. To me, if you can concentrate on your mitochondria, whether in your heart, your brain, your gut, that is a major improvement in your overall health. Till next week, take care, y'all. Bye now.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
The moon is a spotlight, the sun's on the stage, the world's got some good seats, but nobody stays. They get their opinions, I've got mine too. So darling, please listen to what I say. Listen babe now, listen babe now. Listen babe now, listen babe now. Listen babe now, listen babe now. If our love isn't true, what can I do? Reinventing myself, letting go of you. I've got a confession, just a thought or two. Darling, I'm better off without you. Listen babe now, listen babe now. You got the power. Listen babe now, listen babe now. No need to hide. Listen babe now, listen babe now. Girl on fire. Listen babe now, listen babe now. You got the power. Listen babe now, listen babe now. No need to hide. Listen babe now, listen babe now. Girl on fire. Listen to what I say. Listen to what I say. Listen to what I say.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/usaglobaltv. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.